So, you're thinking about getting a pet reptile. Great choice, but it's crucial to know the pros and cons of reptile ownership before you get your new friend. Hi, I'm Zachary. I've been keeping reptiles for over 5 years. Let's get into it. Pro number 1. Reptiles typically won't take too much space in your house. They usually spend most of their time in their enclosures and aren't very big in the first place. They won't take up as much space as a cat or a dog. Con number 1. Most reptiles will need the heat source that's on for 24 hours, and a lot of reptiles will need UVB lighting that's on for 12 hours. This can get very expensive and you can risk fires, although that's very unlikely. Pro number 2. Reptiles typically aren't as high maintenance as more common pet animals such as dogs and cats. Most of them won't require feeding daily, however some do, so it's important to research the individual species you want before deciding on it. And they almost certainly won't need to eat as much as cats or dogs because they're cold-blooded, which means they don't need as much food, but they will need higher heat levels. Now for con number 2. Reptiles are very inquisitive animals and they will like to explore their enclosure very often, but sometimes they want to explore a bit more than their enclosure and will try to escape. And if any vents are left unloose or their tank has been slightly left open, they will definitely take advantage of that and escape. If you do think your pet reptile has escaped, please do these things. Check their enclosure fully to see if they're in there, because most of the time people will think their reptile has escaped, but they actually haven't and they're just hiding really well. But if they haven't actually escaped, then make sure to look along the walls, underneath things, because that's typically where they hide. And obviously check near warmer places first, as reptiles will always try and be as warm as possible. Pro number 3. Reptiles have no fur at all. This means you cannot be allergic to them. This is a great thing for people like me who are allergic to animals with fur, such as cats, dogs, and even hamsters. So being allergic is not something you'll need to worry about when getting a pet reptile. However, there can be some reptile substrates that can irritate your eyes if they get inside, so just make sure you aren't allergic to the certain type of substrate you're using. Con number 3 is that reptile vets can be quite hard to find and they can be a bit pricey, so make sure that you have a reptile vet near or close to you before thinking about getting a pet reptile. However, reptiles don't typically get ill unless their enclosure isn't correct or you're feeding them the wrong things, get humidity or heat incorrect. So if all those are perfect, your reptile should be just fine. Pro number 4. Reptiles can be very tame if you handle them correctly and frequently. Just make sure that if you're getting a reptile from someone else, that they've handled it frequently and correctly, and you should have a friendly pet. Con number 4. Most reptiles, about 95% of reptiles that you keep in captivity, will need either insects or a rat or mouse for their food source. This can be very off-putting for a lot of people, and it certainly was off-putting for me for a while. So if you don't want to feed a reptile any of those things, I would recommend crested geckos and some species of tortoises. Pro number 5. Reptiles are very unique and interesting, and there's so much to learn about reptiles. There's over 11,000 species. Reptiles are very unique pets, mostly because of the fact that they're very misunderstood by a lot of people, and science hasn't covered as much of them as they have covered, say, mammals and fish. Con number 5. Once you get one pet reptile, you won't be able to stop. Reptiles are so interesting, and no two reptiles are the same. You'll definitely want more pet reptiles after getting your first one. I really hope you enjoyed my video today, and please remember to do so much research before even thinking about getting your pet reptile or its enclosure. You can talk to people at pet shops or even people that own the sort of reptile that you're interested in. Have a nice day. See you later.